So here's a picture of the product we're using. As you can see, there's two cans. So there's two parts. You mix them together. One is the clear coat and the other is the catalyst that activates it. This product is available through Benjamin Moore dealers across North America, and it is what you would call an industrial quality product. Extremely good, very nice to work with, and quite expensive. But you get what you pay for. And it's been my experience that the Benjamin Moore products in general are very good products to buy and use. Put them on your roller and roll it back and forth as evenly as you can. Be generous. Make sure it's down evenly. Put it on until you have a consistent, even, milky finish. When applying this product, you need the right kind of weather conditions. First of all, it needs to be at least 10 above for 24 hours. It mustn't rain. And the thing needs to be kept clean. So what we did was put a tarp up on one side to block the wind. And we waited until September to do it. So all the bugs were dead, but the leaves were still on the trees. And in our country, this is about as ideal a condition as you can get to work outside. Again, this is our second coat. We let the first one dry overnight. While the can says you can reapply in 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours, we chose to let it sit overnight. One, to make sure it was dry, and two, it was getting a little late in the day to do a second coat, and still be able to see what you're doing. You have to mix two different parts together in the appropriate measure. And because we were trying to split the job in two, we had to weigh out both part A and part B and split the amounts in half so that we had the correct mix for our second coat. Because once you mix it, you got about 3 hours to work with it, and then it starts to harden on you. So we used a kitchen scale and a couple of clean ice cream pails. And we weighed out equal measures of the product. And yesterday we mixed and applied the first half of the can. And now today we're putting on the second coat in a similar fashion. The can will do about 370 square feet. And we have two projects on the go. One is this deck, which is 120 square feet and is outside. And the other is the floor of the small sleeping bunkie, where we're doing about 75 square feet of it. And it is inside a building. Interestingly enough, this deck dried much quicker than the floor of the building that was enclosed. Perhaps because of the sun and the wind. But last night, even after 8 or 10 hours, the interior floor was still slightly tacky. want to make sure it's good to dry before you put on your second coat. So we are applying this finish to a deck that is made out of 3/4 inch plywood and has been primed with oil primer and then painted with 2 coats of flooring enamel, porch floor enamel. In the second coat of that enamel, we sprinkled little colored chips, which you may be able to see. And the nice thing about the chips is they provide a little visual interest, detract from the notion or from the effect of minor bits of dirt on your finished floor, and also provide a bit of grit to the surface so to make it less slippery. The product we're applying is a high gloss epoxy, and therefore has a tendency to be a little bit slippery. And the paint flakes give it just enough texture so you won't lose your footing when you walk across it. With 2 coats of the finished epoxy on it, you're going to wind up with a nice glossy surface that has a little bit of texture to it, and as I said, some visual interest. It's easy to clean, and yet not so slick as to cause you to slip as you walk across it. In our bunkie, the situation is very similar. Although the floor is made out of OSB or chipboard, if you will, and has even more texture than this plywood. But it too has been painted with flooring paint and had those sparkly chips applied to it. Now the floor in the other building has been in service for 5 or 6 years now, and was wearing quite well because it had a proper flooring paint applied to it. The problem we were experiencing was it had a tendency to collect dirt, trap it in the pores of the wood. And so we're hopeful that putting on this epoxy will fill a lot of those pores and cause it to be much easier to maintain in the future. We'll see. So there it is with the second coat applied. As you can see over here, where we just finished rolling it, it's still a little milky. And if you look back where we began about 20 minutes ago, it's already clear. And the thing with this product is it's self-leveling, so it's slowly going to settle into the various cracks and divots and irregularities of the floor. And ultimately, you should have a smooth, shiny, easy to maintain surface. And now we're going to go and do the bunkie. So here we are in the bunkie I talked about. And as you can see from the first coat that we put on yesterday, there's quite the sheen to this product. And if you look closely, you'll see how this floor made of OSB has a bit of texture to it already. And the issue here for us was that that texture was trapping dirt and making the floor hard to clean. So the notion is that by applying this product, which again is self-leveling, will fill in some of these divots and create an easily wet moppable floor. It's dried overnight, and now we're ready to apply a second coat. It's important when you're applying this product to make sure that you put it down as evenly as you can, So use long, even strokes. And keep your roller well charged. You can see where you've been because of the milky color of the product when it's first applied. And you don't want to go over it too many times with the roller because it starts to gum up and stick to the roller as much as it does the floor. So go back and forth a few times till it looks nice and smooth, and then move on to the next section. So there we go, the bunky floor is finished. Didn't take long. Managed to not paint myself into a corner. And now we're out the door. As you can see from our paint tray, we have a bit of product left. So what I'd encourage you to do is to find some other things around the property that you might want to put some finish on. And for us, we've chosen a foot locker, a little IKEA shelf unit, and a homemade tabletop of cedar, all of which are going to benefit from 2 coats of this wonderful product. If you don't use it up within the 2 or 3 hour window that you have, you just simply throw it away. So if you think you might have more product than you have floor to cover, find yourself a couple of other things that would benefit from having a coat of sealant on it, and slop it on there. A couple of other items worthy of note. This is a very high-tech product. It's what you call a waterborne finish, which means instead of the classic highly toxic chemicals that they used to put in epoxies, somehow they've managed to do it with non-toxic chemicals. And the product, when you're applying it, has virtually no smell. There's none of those nasty VOCs that used to be so prevalent in paints and epoxies. And as an added benefit, if you get to it quick enough, you can clean your brushes and trays and such with soap and water. The roller you're seeing us use today, we actually used yesterday and then cleaned it up when we were done, and we were able to reuse it again today. But once this stuff sets, it's done. So here we are running around trying to find other things to use up our last few ounces of the product. Boy, are we cheap. It's worth noting this stuff's been mixed for about 2 hours now, and it is starting to get quite sticky. It's a bit like painting with honey at this point. We're back again. It's a day later, and now we're going to have a quick peek at the bunky floor and see how it turned out. From what I can tell, it appears to be a success. It's nice and smooth. The divots have filled in fairly well, and there's still a texture on it, so it's not terribly slippery. We're very pleased with the results, and I think we can safely and highly recommend this product to anybody who takes the time to apply it properly.